I found a group of girls who I saw as a lowly freshman. I sat in the back, so I was so afraid. I was like, I don't know anyone. Why don't anyone want to talk to me? I saw all these girls at the front of the room who seemed so put together. Like, they were smart, they were interesting, they were, for lack of a better word, killing it. And I was like, how can I be just like them? I'm Priya. I'm a senior in the Business and Political Economy program, doing a cross-school minor in Middle Eastern and Islamic Studies. So, like I said, I grew up watching my dad on Wall Street, and I'd always go visit him at work. And my dad's in middle office, so he's not necessarily, I don't know, his floors basically had no women on them. I would see maybe 3 or 4. And my dad has worked at big banks. So these are huge floors, like hundreds of people and like 3 to 4 women. And I always knew that obviously women are less represented in business. But I came into Stern and Weekend on the Square, and in all these experiences, I saw these really powerful women, like women leading clubs and who were speaking in front of audiences. And I was like, this is really, really cool. These girls look like they know what's going on. And I got to Stern and I was like, okay, I want to find a community of women who will support me and who I can support in turn. So I turned to USWIB, which is an undergraduate Stern Women in Business Club. From day one, I was literally been going since my first day of freshman year because I have meetings on Mondays. And it's like, these people are my community. I found a group of girls who I saw as a lowly freshman. I sat in the back, so I was so afraid. I was like, I don't know anyone. Why don't anyone want to talk to me? I saw all these girls at the front of the room who seemed so put together. Like, they were smart, they were interesting, they were, for lack of a better word, killing it. And I was like, how can I be just like them? And I figured, okay, USWIB is my way to be just like them. And now fast forward to senior fall, or rather senior spring, and I'm on the e-board of USWIB. I'm the director of the USWIB conference, which is incredibly exciting. And really in USWIB, like, USWIB is where I found my confidence. It's where I found myself. It's where I realized that I have so much to add and so much value. I guess the first time I realized that I became one of those women, as strange as that seems, was my senior fall. So I'm an e-board member in USWIB. I'm the director of the conference. And I was talking about it to the USWIB attendees that day at our first general meeting. And then we had a panel the next week, and we were talking about, our journeys into USWIB and our journeys at Stern. And afterwards, like 6 freshmen came up to me, and they're like, how do you do it? Like, how are you so well-spoken? How are you so confident? And I was so, pleasantly taken aback. And I was talking to my best friend about it afterwards. And I was like, when did we become these people? Like, these people that we idolized and we admired so much as freshmen? Like, when did we become the girls at the front of the room? And when did we become the student leaders? And honestly, I think I still feel like a freshman in my mind sometimes. I still feel like I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm doing a lot of the time. I guess if I was going to give any advice going into, Stern or really any other school, but specifically this was my experience at Stern, it's own who you are and never forget what your passions are.